Hey friends, I've promised you to bring one of my friends on stage today for a discussion about house sit. You know that I'm currently in a house sit for 3 weeks, and she's really the lady who inspired me as a married woman to do a house sit. As this is a marriage series, she will come and talk to you about house sitting with her husband and solo. And so without making you wait too long, let me introduce you to Dee. She's a dear sister. We are both part of a wonderful community. She'll tell you all about it. And so I'm so honored to have her here. So without making you wait, let's bring Dee on stage. Hey Dee.
Hello, sister. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm so happy. I'm so glad to to have you here. I've promised my audience, and I am in a small group of YouTuber telling them, I know a lady, I need her on the channel so she can talk to you about traveling solo and traveling, as a married woman, and also about house sit. And to be honest, you're one of the people who inspired me, the person who inspired me to travel as a married woman. Before you, I couldn't see any other married woman out there. And even house sit. It's true that Mama Stephanie did inspire us as Black women to see another Black woman do that, right?
Yes.
But I did not see a married woman doing it until I saw you. And then I follow so many of your videos. She has amazing guests, guys. She'll tell you all about that. Anyway, Dee, I speak way too much. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on today. My name is Dee from H&D Abroad. Our YouTube channel is H&D Abroad, where my husband and I are documenting all of the shifts and changes and decisions around moving abroad. So we're sharing our scouting trips, we're sharing the research, and we're introducing our audience to people that we're meeting along the way that are influencing, you know, because they have either completed their move and they're in a new place, or are in the same kind of position we're in, you know, trying to figure out, getting on the ground. Is this the place for me? Is
Yeah.
this the place for us? And so, the same as you, when we started the move abroad process, it was primarily a lot of either young people,
Yeah.
single people. And we said, I think it's important for us to share our journey as a married couple. And one strategy that my husband and I are using for finding our place that feels like home is house sitting. House sitting has opened the door to what do we really need? Like when we're
Yeah.
moving somewhere, do we need to like pack all of our stuff up, put it on a barge, and send it to our new place? And I'm going to go ahead and, preempt it and say, no, we need a whole lot less
Yeah.
than we think that we need. It's also helped me to fall out of love with my house. We built this house 2 years ago. The specs are exactly how I've always wanted it. But house sitting is helping me to see a place that feels like home is more than just the building. There
Yeah.
are things like photos of my family, having my partner and or our son with me, and that I can do the things. The community has things that really help me to feel like I can live and function and thrive in that place. And we've been able to do that with house sitting, even though I started by myself. My husband was, it's not that he wasn't on board. He was just like, I don't know about that.
A lot of men, a lot of men are like that, yes. And so, what inspired you first, to go into house sitting and, you know, as and alone as a solo traveler, although you married, and how did your husband take it?
Okay, so what has made the difference for me is that um, on YouTube, you can see, a lot of people are sharing their journey.
Yeah.
And a lot of women were sharing their journey. What made the difference for me is seeing someone who looks like me,
Yeah.
who understands, concerns that I have around safety.
Hmm.
Could I safely, be in a new place I don't belong? Because that's a huge thing. At least in the US, I won't speak for other countries because this is where I live. But people decide based on, I'm going to say, a variety of factors, but mostly my skin color. Do I belong in a place? And so she addressed those issues directly. I've had a lot of opportunities to ask my own questions and then to be connected to a community of people who are doing the thing, to be
Yeah.
able to continue to see their journey up close, ask questions. So once I felt like I had enough information, like it's pretty solid, and then the entry point for how much house sitting doesn't cost in comparison to if I were to get accommodation. So house sitting, just from a definition standpoint, is when you exchange a service for free accommodations.
Yeah.
So accommodations typically was the reason why, the cost of accommodations was why I didn't travel as often.
Okay. Yeah.
When you have to come up with, I've got to fly to a place or drive there, and then, how will I eat? And, I was just like, the hotel bill or even the Airbnb, the cost of the Airbnb was cost prohibitive. I mean, we
It's
were,
the most expensive when you travel anywhere, accommodation and the flight, isn't it? These two are
yes,
usually, yeah.
yeah. So I was able, especially, I started locally. So I started with local house sits in my state and then moved on to house sitting, in the US. So I'm primarily a domestic, a US based house sitter, but we just got our first international house sit that we'll be doing in December. So I think the takeaway that I want folks to know is that you can start where you are. Someone reached out to me, like in my city, recently, and said, "Hey, I need house sitting. I see you've got good reviews. Would you mind?" What you'll recognize is people will see your 5-star rating and they'll start to reach out to you. So there's
Right.
not a lot of heavy lifting that happens. And then my husband was able to watch my process, see me go through the background check, to know that the people that I was house sitting for, they had gone through a background check. And then there are just requirements that I had that, with his influence, I made sure that I asked and got solid answers. So as I've shared, the solo married travel journey is an agreement that my husband and I have,
Yeah.
because travel brings me joy. It gives my brain and my body a break. It gives me a chance to visit friends and family. So he knows why it's important to me. And I think it's important when you're married to articulate that. Um,
Absolutely.
and I think I have shown that I'm a trustworthy partner. You know what I'm saying? He's not worried
Yeah.
that I'm going out to, pretend to be a single woman,
Yeah.
without him. And so, I think those things were really important, that he wanted me to be safe, that I was going to homes that were well cared for,
Yeah.
were as good. I don't know if you watch that part of the married house sitting video, but
Yeah.
someone said, I want to go somewhere that's at least as nice as where I live or better.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And actually, it's actually following your journey, because I'm currently in a house sit,
Yeah.
and I've been here for 3 weeks. I have 2 days left, and I'm just 2 hours away from home. And yes, and that's my second seat. And I know that even the discount code that I used was yours. That's why I say you really inspired me. And when I watched that video where you were with two other couples, and the husband at first were a little bit did not so want to come and stay at someone's house. I'm dealing with that with my husband right now. So I sent him that video. Please watch that. Because tomorrow is his birthday, and I had planned that he will come here. I
Oh,
have the authorization of the family for me to bring my husband here, but he would not come. He's not comfortable. So how did you convince Herman? I mean, Herman is this husband, to actually join you.
so the local house sit, he did not.
Okay.
But it was within proximity for me to, pop home for a couple of hours if I needed to. I think one of the first strategies that I used was on WhatsApp. I would just video and show him, this is what the environment is like. We've stayed in Airbnbs before. So being in someone's home, and they be away, I think was a good, and not that we had only stayed in hotels. It's a
Yeah.
different way that you move in a space when it's more like a home environment versus a hotel.
Yeah.
So made sure that I showed him, what was around. So the first one that I took away from home, they had a beautiful backyard, and so I was showing him the deer that I could see in the backyard, the bear that I saw in the front yard. He was like, "There's a bear," and I was like, "It's outside, and I'm inside." But and then to walk, I was in Colorado, so I walked around and I showed him all the beautiful things, and I don't know if it was FOMO, fear of missing out. I don't
Yeah.
know, but like he was like, so after the second, I think it was after, let's see, one, two, it might be by the third, he was kind of warming up to. So I went to Florida for a month after I left Colorado, and so I got a chance to. The beach was less than a mile away, so I would walk to the beach every day.
Wow.
And I would take him with me to either, because I would go at sunrise and then as the sun was setting. And so we would just talk and I'd show him. And I think that was when he said, okay, when you get the next house sit, I'll go with you. And that one was to Washington, D.C. And I'm so glad he came. It was the first time I'd had snow. Um,
Oh, okay.
it was fun. And what the other thing, Jace, that was unexpected was our kids' reaction that the two of us were going to go. I think we were there for 6 weeks.
Oh,
And the
okay.
kids said, "Oh, you guys are going on a second honeymoon." And I was like, I never thought about selling house sitting for couples or soliciting house sitting, trusted house sitters as a way for couples to kind of reclaim
Reconnect.
their time together
Yes,
as like mini honeymoons. So,
exactly. Yeah.
and both of us have been married for 25 years. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
that getaway time can be, few and far between without intention. And so if I could show how we take regional carriers, so the cost is not much. Some of them we've driven to when it's not too far away. So if I can show that this is a cost savings and that they've got good internet. So when
Yeah.
they
That's
go to work,
important. Yeah.
and then we can do things together. So, like, we plan out a schedule. Hey, are we going to pop up to New York when we were in DC, or go to a concert in Philadelphia, or just go to the African American Museum, the Smithsonian Museum in DC? These are things we want to do together that are both interesting to either one or both of us. I think all of those features where you can show this is where not just I can win, at house sitting. Like house sitting can open doors for you too, as my spouse. I think that that has made the biggest difference.
Definitely. And that's that was my next plan with my husband. He loves being near the beach and water. So I'm looking already for something that is near
Yeah.
to, I'm sure, because that's my second one. So I bet by my third one, I hope, like for you, it will be able to come because, as you were explaining, when you are at home with all the duties, etc., it's good to change a bit the environment. It's like dating again because after 25, 26 years,
Yeah.
it kind of become monotone.
Yeah.
So going away from home, this is why I was hoping I had planned something so nice for his birthday. I'm still hoping that maybe, after watching, because I told him that I was meeting you today.
Yeah.
I hope, who knows, maybe he makes a surprise and comes tomorrow. They have a
Oh,
beautiful
so.
garden. It's so beautiful. It's
Oh,
night now. I can't show you because here it's 7:30 p.m. and it's
I
so
can see
dark.
it.
But it's such a beautiful house. And by the way, how do you choose? Because for the people who don't know about house sitting, and how do you choose the perfect house sit for you?
Well, I probably had a whole lot more conditions when I got started.
Okay.
So, and I've kind of narrowed them down to um, the house needs to be of good quality. Like I can see from your photos that you take care of your home. I have primarily done no pet house sits.
Mhm.
So I've had a garden for years. I love taking care of my plants, and so I don't mind taking care of other folks' plants. I have done, let's see, so I've done one pet sit, the one that we're going to in December for our first international is a pet sit. So I've kind of expanded in some areas. I think
Okay.
the other criterias initially were that I wanted to visit places where I had family because we're kind of on the move abroad journey. And I was like, I want to see everyone before we leave, not because we aren't coming back, but like I want to have some intention around spending time with family that I don't see on a regular because it's going to get even more uh,
Yeah.
spaced out. And everyone's getting older. I mean, my aunts and uncles are definitely getting older, and I want to spend time. And cousins are getting the same. So I think the cities where I initially decided to go were really based on that. But
Yeah.
then I started saying, well, um, I've never been to what is Albuquerque, New Mexico. There are places that I've always wanted to visit that I haven't had a chance in my everyday travels to visit. And so I've been using the filters to
Yeah.
choose places that, hey, the other thing that has helped me is the time of year. So I don't have diagnosed seasonal affective disorder, but I have a mood shift when there's a lot of gray or cold where I can't be
Yeah.
outside. And
Yeah.
so I've really intentionally looked at house sits in warmer areas or areas where it doesn't get as much of that gray, thick cloud cover day in and day out. So when we went to DC, that was in the wintertime. They did get snow, but they get so much more sunshine
Yeah.
I could go out in the warmer part of the day bundled up, but I could still go out and get some sunshine. Sunshine is really important to me. And
Oh, yeah.
so now that I know how to set the filters and how to look for those house sits in warm places or in places that get more sun, uh,
Yeah.
while still working, because that's what I'm doing. I'm still working. So
Yeah.
I have some requirements, for my employer about where I can work. And so being, not having international house sits has been why I've done less of them.
Mm.
I really take vacation time to do those, and then I can be anywhere between, anywhere in the U.S. that doesn't require a passport is the guidance I've been given.
Anyway, the US is so large and so
Yeah,
diverse that you just have a plethora of choices, isn't it?
it
But
is.
I wanted to say something. When I've listened to that video where you were talking about actually choosing some places to go visit your family,
Yes.
because you'll be moving away, that gave me an excellent idea that I have not thought before, because
Hmm.
we are in between. Our house is on sale,
Yeah.
and so we don't know if you want to go to the north of England because it's cheaper there. The south is just out of price for us now, or
Right.
move to France. And house sit is just an amazing way to visit these places, and then not costing us an arm and a leg. So I'm now looking for house sit in France,
Yes.
the cities where we may want to move in to have a bit of a feel of the
Hmm.
place. And that's thanks to house it where we don't have to, pay accommodation because it's very expensive if you
Yes.
want to go visit different places. So it's something that is really exceptional. And thank you so much. Because now I've seen myself checking everywhere to see what's available. And you said something like about working. So you need to make sure that they have a good internet, I guess.
Hmm. Yes. So I have them complete. It's called, oh goodness, I would ask. But there are several services where you can have them, speedtest.net.
Oh, okay.
Speedtest.net is what I have them complete on their laptop or home PC, and then send me a screenshot of those results so that I can verify that the upload and download speeds are good for me to work. Um, and I've not had any problem with folks being okay with that. Um, but
That's,
that's usually a deal breaker for me. If I'm not on vacation, I have to be available to my office.
yeah.
And so I do a lot of video or online meetings, and I have to verify that I can still work. But I have a backup. I always try to have at least 1 to 2 backup plans. So my backup plans include having bringing my own hotspot,
Yeah.
wireless hotspot. And then my favorite location, if I can't get a good hotspot, is where are the libraries?
Mm,
So co-working spaces cost money,
yeah.
but in the US, our library systems usually have private workspaces. And
Yeah.
so you can check those out sometimes for a 2 hour slot. So I just make sure that I at least I know where it is. I know what the access, requirements. Do I have to sign, what do you call that? Reserve a time, or if they can take walk-ups. And so those are the things that are probably most important for me when I'm making sure that I can do what I'm responsible for doing, and that's working.
Right. That's an excellent point because I wouldn't never have thought of asking the host. Because when I came here, I'm working, but the internet, although they put high speed,
Yes.
but if I move my laptop just a little bit and around 4, internet goes off and we're
Yes.
in the village. But I wouldn't have thought of also asking question to the host because
Mhm.
I just read high speed internet, but it
Yes.
means something for different people.
Yes,
I've,
exactly.
I've just realized it coming here that high speed internet is not just that. And also, what I figure is, although it's a lovely place, it's a village, public transport is almost, how do you say that? There's none.
I do ask about public transportation also. And for our move abroad, that has actually made a big difference. We do not plan to purchase a car or take a car with us.
Yeah.
And except for when I lived in DC for a year, being able to learning how to take the metro, learning how to take the bus system, those were things that I felt a little bit of out of practice. And so house sitting has helped me, to confirm and grow in my knowledge of how to move in the world without a car.
Yeah.
Or even using something as in the US, rideshare is expensive. Outside the US, it's another thing, but it's really expensive. And so if I were to take an Uber or a Lyft out of, to everything I needed to do, that's going to be expensive. So yeah, let's see. So public transportation is one, but also this time they had bikes that were available, and I
Oh,
love to bike ride. And they also had electric bikes
oh, that's
at the Colorado house sit that I did. And so, because they live up a hill, that also comes in handy as well. So asking about the terrain, especially if you're walking or cycling or skating, skateboarding, rollerblading, just kind of get an understanding of the typography.
yeah.
Um, I think another good decision maker, and I've just remembered this when we first started, that I didn't realize you could ask for a video tour of the home. And so my husband was able to see, hey, this is good. This is, they've got reasonable safety features. Things don't appear to be broken, where I would be unsafe. So,
Yeah.
the walkthrough is also good for me because I really want to see how well you keep your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, everyone has the horror story of, I come in and the sink is full of dishes. There's, the trash hasn't been taken out in several days. The smell, which you can't do by video, but there should be enough indicators. Do they clean their bathroom? Um, or their general upkeep. My focus is to help a family maintain.
Yeah.
So I'm maintaining what you're leaving. I am not your house cleaner. I am
Yeah.
not the disposal crew. And so just being able to see what is the living environment has been super helpful
Yeah.
to both of us.
Exactly, because before seeing, other ladies doing it and following many conversation, when you just started, you're so afraid to not find a house to sit, so
Right.
you're ready to accept everything. Until I was watching those videos and the criteria that people were taking. Because at first, I was checking so many houses, I'm ready to take anything. But
Right.
some of these houses, you see, you're like, well, if I want to leave my house, it's at least somebody to the same standard, but I'd rather have a better standard, right?
Right.
Something that you want to have a nice experience, not be in the mess. So I'm so happy. I couldn't have, chosen the best, a better house seat than this one. It's the second time I come here, actually. My two seats have been at the same place.
Let me tell you, that's when you know you're doing a good job.
Oh, okay.
And so I definitely leave one of the Diamond Crystal has a community for Black women who are house sitting. And one of the tips that she recommended was to leave a thank you note.
Yeah,
Um, you
yeah,
you want to take a picture, a couple of pictures, show them, hey, I am, your plants are doing well, your home is okay. But at the end, you say thank you. And then I think half of the house sits that I did this year, at least half, have been repeats from last year.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and the family, when I was there this year, said, we kind of already know that we're going to go to the same place again next year. Can we go ahead and book you now? So, those are the things that are feedback to let me know, A, I'm doing a good job, but B, that, the familiarity, I think, is important to me,
Yeah.
just kind
Yeah.
of understanding how do you feel? And, could I do a better job? And it's always nice to get that ask back, because it means you're doing something right.
Definitely. The lady was saying, even if you don't house it, because she knows I'm a traveler and I'm going to go to places, I'm planning to go to Mexico and here and there. She's like, but even if you don't house it, please, can we still be in contact?
Yes.
And I know I would come back here, better prepare, certainly come, because there's don't have a lot of transport because it's a village here. So you really have to have either a car or the bus. You have to really study when the bus come. And yeah, it may be every 2 hours and not always. So you just have to be prepared for that. If you
Absolutely.
want a retreat where you don't want to do too much and you just want to rest, it's the place. So,
I bet all that green space in the garden is also helpful.
oh my goodness, it is. You know where I'm sitting every day here is the conservatory. Conservatory in England is like it's the windows everywhere.
Hmm.
Give straight to the garden. So even when you sat here working, it's like you are in the garden. It's an extension to the garden. It's
Oh,
just amazing.
wow.
It's just amazing. So, have you have any like stories about the experience? Did you had any bad experiences? Just
Hmm. I have been pretty lucky. I will say luck in this instance. And I will say most of us that are house sitting usually don't have any problems. These are, and then that makes me more likely to say yes when I've had a good experience. It's so that, I don't have to worry if I come back that their behaviors or actions would give me pause because I've dealt with them before. So let's see, probably, I was gonna say bad. Oh, everybody's been super clean, super helpful. I read one in our support. I don't want to call it a support group, but um, one of the ladies in the Sisters Who Sit group shared that she has been a host. She's been a host before on Trusted House Sitters, and she said that at the last minute, people will say, "Hey, my boyfriend, my husband is going to come to visit." And so, one of the things that I took from that, I mean, she felt really uncomfortable. She said, I intentionally sought out single women. But you can't, unless they say something very distinct, you would just assume that if I have a spouse or partner, that they're welcome.
yeah,
I would not assume anything. That a homeowner is trying to protect their property. And so the one way that I think is important for folks is on your profile, make
yeah.
sure you put anyone that might come on your trip with you so that
Oh,
they will see that there's a possibility. We have adult children. Hey, there's a possibility our adult children could come and visit. It's once you see that a person, you should be reading the profiles, so we have, why do I want to house sit? All of those kinds of things are in the note that we share.
right.
And that there could be a possibility that the house sitter may come with a pet, or that the house sitter may come with family members, especially if it's over a holiday. So,
Yeah.
Christmas is coming up, this house sit that's in December. Um, so I've been asking the kids, do you think you might want to come? And then how do we make sure that even though we've accepted it, and that we've accepted the house sit, and they have already approved us. I'm looking at the calendar. So we've got 2. So it's over 2 months
Oh,
from when we're going to have our house sit.
okay.
Now is a better time to say, hey, my husband and I are coming. He was in the interview with me. So they've seen him. They know who he is. Our 3 children, 2 of which have moved out, and the last is in college. But if they wanted to, and they usually do want to spend time with us during the holiday, we make sure that we've got their picture in the profile. We've got a dog in our profile, even though we don't
And
currently have one.
yeah,
She passed. But, if you're going to bring a pet, then those are the things that I see people get into a little bit of conflict with host, is when what they ask for is unexpected, and doing that like 2 days before the same day, those kinds of things. But I mean, if it's an act of God, like, hey, who would have known that this flooding would have happened? Yes, it's inconvenient, but you haven't taken him to the kennel. You haven't, so those were kind of some of the horror stories. Places being kept places unkept is
hmm,
probably a number 2 area that I see in our group, where people say, I did the video, but you can't smell what the place smells
mm,
like when you're house sitting. And so I would kind of make a list of the most important things. You could have a list of 100 things. Are
yeah,
they going to be answered? Probably not. But if you kind of say, hey, I want to make sure you have a washer and dryer so I can wash the sheets and linen. Um, do you have access to public transportation? Because I'll need to plan how
yeah,
how I move around in the world. And then, if your partner also has needs or things that that would make their visit fruitful,
yeah,
I would definitely check in on that. If they're going with you and there's a no-go for something, that you need to double down on the style of questions that
yeah,
you're asking. So I'm more than excited that couples are considering
yes,
house sitting,
yeah,
and that they can find at least one aspect to take a little bit of a peek. And then as you walk through that first door or set of doors, that you can really boil down, these are the most important things we need to have on a house sit, and that you're able to find them. Because right now is the best time. I see some of the nicest house sits
because people are traveling for the holidays, you would say?
because people are traveling between Thanksgiving here in the US
Yeah,
and after Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday. That's
yeah,
the last holiday where people may have an extended weekend. So they're going to be looking. And if you're looking at a specific location, I guess probably the other piece of advice that I have is sometimes those house sits, they don't post them until, a month out, 3
mm,
weeks out, which
yeah,
can make it pretty difficult. So I would say if I were flying to Dallas and hoping that this house sit worked out in Dallas, and later on I saw, what's the name? I saw a listing that I would I need to be ready to get it.
hmm,
I need to be ready to um, to have a plane ticket and say, you know, here's my backup if I can't find the ideal. But it may take a while for that location to show up. So that's what I've noticed is that I like long house sits. So I like to do a month, 6 weeks. I'll probably even do 2 months.
Yeah.
But some of the house sits that when I have a date, sometimes those house sits don't come until 2 or 3 weeks before, which is a little unnerving.
Yeah.
But if you've got a little bit of flexibility in your schedule, I would definitely be
So,
open to waiting a little bit closer. And then the opposite of that is don't book too far out, because usually between 2 months and sometimes 2 weeks before your event or when you want to be house sitting, they uh, that's one scenario. But going too far out means you don't see all of the possibilities for
yeah.
that location that are going to come up.
Yeah.
Even if you're stacking house sitting, and I'm thinking about, I have several friends they sold their house, they got rid of their apartment and they're living out of their suitcase by using trusted house sitters as a way to fund their housing journey. So you want to be paying attention to where are the cities or the regions that are getting a lot of house sits. So I
Right.
know here, Colorado gets a lot of house sits. So, but then some areas only get a few, and, they may not do them for, a long amount, put them out there more than 6 or 8 weeks before they need to be gone. So, because some folks have gotten into, oh, I'm thinking about Ozzy. So Ozzy is my friend. She was primarily pet sitting. She booked more than 6 months out because she was just trying to fill in all of the empty spaces. So when she started, the dog was just fine. The dog and the parents were just fine. As she got closer, they started mentioning, well, the dog, is having this issue, the dog's having that issue. I may go ahead and share with you where she talks about what happened, but that her host changed the dog food 1 week before she left.
Oh my
And this is
goodness.
a dog that already had a sensitive digestion. And so it was more likely that they would have vomiting and diarrhea as their
Yeah.
body. But there were some other things going on. And that was the reason why they changed dog food. And so she spent almost a month cleaning up diarrhea
Oh my
and
goodness.
vomiting from the pet because things had changed in the interim when she booked
Well,
initially and then as you get closer. So definitely, I hate to bring up all the bad, but I mean, it's
I
not
mean, it's important, isn't
the
it?
majority of what we do. I haven't had a bad house sit yet. And I think, but this is just our 10th house sit. Because we do longer house sitting.
But
Um,
can you come out of a house sit? I mean, once you've agreed to do a house sit, and let's say for what happened to your friend, and she can see some red flags,
yes,
that something is going to go wrong, you
yes.
can pull out of that house sit, right? Because you're not obligated to go because you've
Mhm.
accepted it.
Right. So a lot of times what we're trying to do is to protect the relationship that we have with the host. We
Okay.
want to be a trusted source. The other thing that house sitters look at is I want that 5-star rating. I
Right.
want all 5 stars because that boosts future host confidence in
Yeah.
me. And so, what? Oh, hold on. I'm trying to make sure I remember what your question is. Oh, what should we do? So
Yes.
if you are a few weeks out and a family begins to say, the dog is experiencing some distress or more anxiety because there was an issue that happened, even if they don't bring it up, you should. I just want to confirm that nothing different is happening with the dog. The dog doesn't need injections or medications, things that we initially agreed on. There aren't any changes to their bowel movement, their urination, that there aren't any changes. So as long as you are comfortable, um, go forward. If not, I would suggest that if you don't feel comfortable, cancel.
Yes.
Cancel, try to give the family as much notice as possible. And I guess that's the motivator for reaching out in advance is, to confirm that the details are the same. It's because anything could happen, within a day or two,
Yeah.
that will impact the satisfaction of your stay. But I don't know if your follow-up question is, what if something happens while you're on the house sit
Yeah.
that you feel like, hey, I can't deal with this? So I'm taking my lead from her where she said, this is what I did. I kept in contact with the family. I took pictures she talked about one day she was working. The dog went upstairs to her room and it was really quiet. And she was like, "Where is the dog?" She walked upstairs and there was diarrhea everywhere, like
Oh Lord.
everywhere.
Right.
So she sent the photos to the family. She had to clean it all up. They didn't offer anything. She had to take the dog to the vet because she was just like, it's not normal or natural for a dog to have this many um, gastrointestinal
Hmm.
issues. And I think the dog is in danger. She finished the house sit, but I know I would not. And what I
No.
would ask is, look, your dog is having persistent symptoms that I cannot manage. There's a veterinary
Yes.
line with
Yes.
trusted house sitters. If they can't help me to resolve it and you can't give me any indication, and I have taken the dog to the vet for treatment, then your dog needs to be boarded for their safekeeping.
Yeah.
Because, just like the human body, if you are having those kinds of persistent issues, your body's not getting nutrients. It's difficult for you to stay hydrated. And so that can cause other, heart, tachycardia. I mean, your body, when your body doesn't function well, I don't want anyone, my job as a house sitter is for the host family to come back to the house just as they left it or
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
And which means their pet should be as happy as they were when they left.
Yeah.
And so when I know that I'm at the capacity of what I can do to keep your pet safe or your home safe, then I'm gonna let you know that you need a backup for and this dog probably needed to be at the veterinary office being boarded because
Yeah.
of these issues. So, that was
That's a difficult experience.
it is. It
I would not
really
be able
is.
to say
But you're
yes.
always looking out for the pet's safety. You're
Safety,
always,
absolutely.
I've read about some where I live is tornado. We get tornadoes and hurricanes.
Hmm.
And so if you know that a hurricane, when I was in Florida last year, the host said, "Hey, I'm watching the news," but she shared with me where their local shelters were. If I needed to go to a shelter very quickly, she said, "I will reimburse you any cost if we have somewhere where you're displaced from the home. If you needed, if I needed hotel or something like that, she
Hmm.
would she would reimburse that cost to me because I was displaced." And so that I think showed me that the host cared about about my safety as well. So just being aware that I want to keep the home in good repair, and that the family can come back to what
Yeah,
they left, and it won't be
exactly.
different.
Yeah, it's really to treat someone else's house the way you want someone to treat your own house, because that's
Absolutely.
how I'm here. I take care of this house, of the plants the same way. And last time that I left, they were like, the house was cleaner than when they left. Just like, what happened? They said the house was so clean and spotless
That's
because
what
I
I
would
was so
love.
surprised. And as a matter of fact, that's my husband's gift. Like he cleaned when he cleaned the house when we were in DC. The family came in the night before we left the next day, and they said when we walked in, they were like, we could see how clean it was, how you could smell
Yeah,
all of and you could see that it was really well kept. And they put that in our review. And so, having your partner, you can kind of choose some of the tasks that you can kind of split up. So if
yeah,
I like to water the plants, he liked to clean, to clean. So those are the kind of thought processes. Some houses we've gone on, he's mowed the grass while I have, done some other aspect of the maintenance that needed to be done. So it's fun to do it with a spouse.
yeah.
I see two best friends that are house sitters. They're getting together to travel together and split the duties of walking the dogs, or other things. So I'm super excited to see more folks take advantage of two people getting together to do those house sits.
Exactly. And I think it's important. A lot of people may not know that they can go as a couple. And so the other thing that I wanted to ask you, because so far I'm just doing local, so I build up also my 5 stars
Yes.
and before going abroad. But the
Yeah.
thing is international. Do you have like a protection? Let's say you agree for a house seat months in advance, right? You
Yes.
buy your ticket and everything, your plane ticket,
Yes.
the host cancel. What happened? Is there like
So
a,
if it happens before you leave,
yeah,
then I usually, when I book my travel, I get the trip insurance.
mm,
So that at a minimum, even if I can't get back my money, that it's a credit that I can use towards something else.
right,
Trusted House Sitters, the premium plan has, if the host cancel and you're on site, and it was not something that could have, um, been avoided for you to be there, and they will reimburse you a
right.
certain amount. And
Okay.
so you would definitely want to check with, yeah, because I don't know how many into the future this will be. So you want to definitely take a look at that Trusted House Sitters coverage for if a host cancels. My friend Yolanda, that actually happened to her, that um, the wife had started to feel a little ill, but they said, we'll be able to leave in the morning. And she got up, and the husband came downstairs and was like, we're not going to be able to do it. She's just not feeling well, so we're not going to go on our trip. And so she called, and you submit your case. You definitely want to do things like, if there's any correspondence, a lot of times they want to do off platform communication. So email or phone, text. Then make sure you are going back into the Trusted House Sitters platform to communicate with the host, so you can show a timeline of, I left, they didn't tell me until, the day after, or the day they were supposed to leave, that they weren't going to be able to leave. And that justifies Trusted House Sitters sending you a authorization that you're agreeing for being reimbursed for your hotel. They're not
Right.
going to pay for if I was supposed to be here a month, they're not going to pay a month of hotel. They're just going to provide a stopgap so that
Yeah.
you can either find another house sit, which happened to Yolanda, or that you can be in a place for long enough for you to work out re re when you go to the airline and you say, "Hey, I want to rebook my ticket," rebook. That's probably what it is. So I want
Yeah.
to rebook my ticket or come home early. So yeah, that definitely is what I would suggest doing.
There's something that you said that then it came out of my head is, on my profile, I only have a picture of me
Mhm.
and a cat because I only do cat. I don't do dog for the house. I don't want to do dog. It's too much work because I'm
I
like,
was about to say cats. You don't have to walk a cat. Now we have
no.
seen one house sit where they do cat walks.
What?
I know. It was so interesting. I
Cat
never
walk.
considered that.
Cats are so independent. You don't walk them. Like
No,
they're on a leash or something?
yeah, they had a leash for their cat.
Seriously?
I don't understand. I don't understand.
No, no, no. I love cat because they're independent. Because
Yeah.
if I come to a house sit, I'm sorry, I'm leaving the family at home. I want less work as possible. I
Yes.
want to be free. I don't want to babysit someone else. The cat, I love him. Where is he? He's just came back right now. He wants some cuddle. Sometime you give him his food, then he's out all the time and come back
Yes.
whenever you want a hug.
Yes.
And that's it. It's
It's primarily why, and I don't know, maybe you and I have talked about being 50 plus, but yeah, that's primarily what I look at too, is I just don't want extra responsibility. So even though I said that I mostly do plant sits and I've done, it'll be two dog sits at the end by the end of this year, they have fish sits.
that's
So there was one that I'd looked at. They want you to feed the koi fish. There are people with hens or chickens. They just want you to
birds.
feed them
Yeah,
and change out their horse. I've
yeah.
seen horse sits,
That's interesting.
they're
Yes.
reptile sits. So, I mean, there are a lot of opportunities and possibilities. But
Yeah,
yeah, what is my capacity for wanting to be bothered? You know what I'm saying?
exactly. Yeah.
And
No,
I'm not really looking for more responsibilities when um, when a listing has 4 or 5 paragraphs for what you're responsible for. I I used to automatically not look at it. Some people are just like, please don't go into this area of the home, or it's little nuances that they want to share, but that responsibilities section is where I start, duties and responsibilities, because I didn't go here to work a job, and there. I've seen folks that have 10 cats and
no.
geese and two or three dogs
That's a
and
full-time job.
5 cats and their listing says zoo. I was like, no.
No.
If you got more things than I have fingers on one hand, and that's too many.
No,
And
I
that's too
can't.
many.
Yeah.
So,
I'm considering dogs because there are more opportunities. Like I was looking in Mexico, I was looking in
yes.
France. Cat alone is difficult. I can do
Mm.
one dog. The
Yes.
Chihuahua, the,
I
the
can't
big.
do more than one. And everyone keeps, even Stephanie Perry, it's like, no, when you get more than one dog, they entertain themselves. They're not always coming to you. I was
I
like,
heard her
that's too
say
many.
that, but no, no,
That's
it's too
too many.
many. It's too
Too
many.
much diversity in what I have to do
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wouldn't be able to cope, but I will change my profile because I actually did not put my family in there. And I remember when telling the host that my husband may be coming, are they okay? I
Right.
even told them before coming, like
Yeah.
it's his birthday and I will be here and I would love for us to have a time here. They said no problem, but I don't have a picture of my family on my profile, and they asked me to see a picture. So it's
Yeah.
a good point that you put there, because I will then change my profile now and add members of my family, because just in case somebody want to come and visit, like my daughter's coming tomorrow, and I've asked them. As my husband's not coming, my daughter would be coming and spending the evening, and then we travel the next day together. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but it's definitely an amazing opportunity for people who love to travel, or people that just want um, a break from home, who just want time for themselves,
It
It's such,
has
yeah,
been more than what I anticipated. I quiet time, even though it's my our son lives here and he's gone a lot. Just being able to know if I'm the silence. That if I'm up or moving around, or I want that solitude, that's I'm craving that more. I understand that is a part of the perimenopause menopausal process,
yeah,
really
yeah,
going deep internally, and I feel like I get more of that without having to say, I'm so sorry to my husband. I'm so sorry. I know that you want my time, or, that you spend all day at work and you miss me. And, I don't have to
yeah,
not make up an excuse, y'all. Don't think I was going to say that.
yeah,
That I would actually be able to do it and not have to give account for my time that is protected. It's just for me. And that is the beauty and the blessing
yeah,
of
yeah,
house sitting. I am so glad that the algorithm worked as it's always has to bring me information that I might be interested in. And Stephanie Perry giving, all of the little tips and the toolkit and things like that.
yeah,
And then I've had a chance to do some consulting for people that are like, okay, so I know I'm jazzed about all the things that you're saying um, about what house sitting can do for you. Then we sit down and, okay, let's set up your profile. Let's set up your filters. Let's get in here and help you to be a detective of what people are saying, but also
yeah.
not saying about the house sit that you need to ask some questions about. So
Exactly.
interesting.
So you will have to share your details for people who may want consultancy for that, because I know when I started, it was daunting to know what are you going to put on the profile, what,
Mhm.
because you have to sell yourself to the host. There's a lot of people there applying. So and as a Black person, I know if I haven't seen Stephanie, you, and Alicia, so many women doing that, I wouldn't have been able, because I was afraid, like, are they going to accept, me?
Yes.
It
Yes.
was very difficult. So, yeah, if you can get help and, somebody like you helping you to build your profile,
Mhm.
it could be a great help, definitely. So as we're going, I know I've got you here for an hour, and I'm so happy that I know you're so busy and you're preparing for the summit. You're going to tell us a little bit about that.
Yes.
I just want to ask you one last question, is like, what piece of advice would you give to couple traveling together? Because this is a marriage series that I'm doing at the moment. And
Mhm.
you explain how, you go with your husband. Some people are still hesitant, and husbands as well. So what
Mhm.
advice would you give to couples about house sitting?
Let's see. Probably the first piece of advice is know why you want to house sit. If you're the partner that is interested in going and you're wanting to talk to your partner, explain why it's important. Why is it, what in you has a need that house sitting can fulfill for you?
Mhm.
And I would include feeling words because, um, you know, I think the struggle with couples is your desire to spend time alone. If you are starting out alone, does this mean you want distance, or does this speak to a deeper trouble in our marriage? Okay.
Mm.
If you are going as a couple, say why it's important that you all take this travel time together. It's for me, it was always okay. So we might do once or twice a year a trip away to my favorite lake house place. House sitting has allowed us to double or triple the kinds of trips we can take away together. So
Mhm.
because of it reduces the financial strain. And so if we can just take the time, and there are a lot of house sits that are just for the weekend, just for 2 days.
Yeah.
I've seen some that it's just like one day you're here, you show up the next day. It's just, I need someone, to meet the person that's bringing my pet home, but I can't be there until the next day. You've got that level of flexibility, but giving yourself the gift of more time together,
Yeah.
especially, and I'm thinking about couples at various stages. If you've got teens, you probably want to see if there's some time you can spend away to
Yeah.
recharge and give your family back a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
For couples, it's important for you to have uninterrupted connection time.
Mhm.
And so this can be built into how we care for our relationship, you know, uh, learning something new together, especially when you're like I've mentioned, you and I have been married for 25 years plus. This is something new that you're doing together. Which we don't get a lot of new things when
Yeah.
we've been together a
For
while.
that long.
And
Exactly.
so this is a new learning process, going to a new place,
Mhm.
exploring, and tapping into your adventurous side or not. This could be the polar opposite. If you've always gone to a place and tour, we want to do all the things. Maybe these house sitting is how you be together.
Yes. Yeah.
And having it structured to, the structure comes with, fulfilling whatever the responsibilities of the house sit are, and then being able to take the time to just do do nothing, do very simple things, or go back to doing some of the things you've done before. One of the aspects that we've been able to tap into is my husband is a chef. He loves to find
Yeah.
new places, and so we will do a date night where he has researched a restaurant, a place, for us to visit, and then he takes me on a date in a new place to a new,
Wow.
and so we did an Ethiopian restaurant in DC for our let's see. So we celebrate both our dating anniversary and our wedding anniversary.
Wow.
So we planned our dating anniversary, at the Ethiopian restaurant, and then he knows I love seeing the Capitol lights in the district at night, and so we did a night tour of the monuments in
Yeah.
DC at night. So, I mean, it was such a beautiful, and I was just like, look at us, we can add a little
Yeah.
romance, a little bit of, what we used to do together in a place, or finding, we're also using house sitting as a way to see what, when we move, what are the things that really resonate with one or both of us. Our new place needs to have this feature. Like, I have to be near
Yeah.
moving water. So we know that the places that we're prioritizing, because I've seen, and he has seen, how refreshed, how beneficial me being able to go to those places in nature are. So I think the tips are, be honest with your partner, really tap into why it's important to you. And then the third is listen. Not listen to respond,
Yeah.
but listen. What are your partner's concerns? What are your partner? Why is your partner dismissive? What may even be their body language that they're communicating to you about when you bring up, would you like to house sit with me, so that you can touch that part and explore it, and maybe they're okay with it sometimes. I remember my dad sending my mom and my sister and I. We love to go to this retreat that was held every summer. And my mom would always say, you can go. And he was like, no, I love giving this to you. But what he also really appreciated was that he also had unstructured time where he didn't have to give
Mhm.
account. And
Yeah.
so I was just like, okay, so I respect that. Let's make sure you have that kind of, no holds barred. You don't have to give an account time for yourself. But let's take the opportunity to use house sits for something else where it's more about our bonding experience. So just being a detective, in your
Yeah.
relationship about what might be a motivator, or, something that might actually be blocking the decision. But I would never say don't go. I would continue to ask, because a no today could be
Yeah.
a yes in the future. So be
I
open.
love that. Thank you. Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful response. And I'm sending the video after to my husband to watch as well. So,
Yes.
anyway, Dee, thanks ever so much. And before we go, because I know you're giving me enough of your time and you're preparing for an event, if you can tell us a little bit also about your channel, what the people will find on your channel, and tell us all about this event where you're going to be a speaker and that community that we are both part of.
Yeah. So Exodus Summit, try not to get a little teary eyed. It has been the best unexpected gift for me. Uh, d- I was searching for a community of people that were doing something that I've always wanted to do, and that is, I wanted to live outside the US.
Mhm.
I love culture and language and food and people, and understanding history, and what and what that's what Exodus Summit, that's why I entered the Exodus Summit space. What
Yeah.
I've gotten from the Exodus Summit space is new friends like you,
Yeah.
to know that there are places, so many places in the world. If I just say, hey, I'm a part of the Exodus Summit community, anybody want to meet up, for coffee, or for a meal, that there's just about, I won't say everywhere in the world, but there are many places in the world that I desire to go, that people are either there on the ground already or have visited. And that it brings me closer to them. And we have developed friendships, and we check in on each other. It's also helped plan this move abroad, and I'm not just in my head or what my husband and I can problem solve. It's the biggest what do they call it? Cloud-based decision-making process. Many of us are taking moves. It's definitely in different places and at different timelines, but I'm learning so much from people about how to travel and what do those places look like on the ground, and do they meet my desired criteria.
Yeah.
And one of those criteria for me was healthcare, because as I'm getting older, I know that I'm going to have to center, making sure that facilities are going to meet my needs, that I have access to, specific types of specialists. Will I have to know the language if I go into this healthcare setting? Is it different from what I'm experiencing in the US, or more of the same? And what I've been is pleasantly surprised that the care and attention and the time and the capability far surpass what I have experienced here in the US, where I felt that my body was respected, that my opinion,
Yeah,
that
I understand.
clinical staff are listening to me. And so that is what I'll be sharing during the actual Exodus Summit. The
Can you
the
explain what it is? What is
Yeah,
Exodus?
so we have Exodus Summit, the group.
Yeah.
It is an accountability, it is a community of people where we share about taking a career break, taking, scouting trips, moving abroad, getting residency, not just citizenship in new places, but we also have Exodus Summit, the learning weekend. So from Friday through Sunday, we are meeting together. We have speakers that are focused on different areas, like, hey, if you want to move abroad, but you want to know how to talk to your employer about making your job
Mhm.
remote or work from anywhere, or you're trying to find work from anywhere jobs. Where do I do that? How can I leverage AI to give me the best advantage, or to highlight aspects of my resume that'll help me to get interviews for those kinds of positions. Um, Goodness, everything, self-care, and then solving the major questions. My husband and I homeschooled, but people are going to be talking about how to homeschool your children, because that's a reality.
Exactly.
What do I do if I have adult parents that I'm responsible for? How do I make sure that their care needs here in the States while I travel, or could they travel with me? How to take a look at, is it feasible for me for them to come with me? What are the features? How am I getting help solving the questions around taking my adult parent with me? So those are just a few of the topics that are going to be covered this year. And so I am encouraging, if you are looking for a space to be inspired, like I'm kind of interested in that. I don't really know what that means, and I want to see women that are already doing it. It
Mhm.
is a specific space for Black women
Mhm.
to learn together. And then we have salons that are small group interactions where you can then meet other people that are sharing, okay, so I'm interested in moving in 2025. Who is also doing that, so we can check in together and grow together and celebrate together or problem solve together. Those are the opportunities, and a lot of these groups stay on year in and year out. So you
Yeah.
we're in the YouTube accountability group.
Yeah. And that was 2022, I think, was
That's
it?
right. Every
Yes.
2022.
And what I would like to add, guys, ladies, whoever's listening right now, if you are a Black woman, is everything that they said, but it's much more than that. It's
Yes.
that moment of the year that we all waiting for, where family, kid away, It's a time, it's 3 days for us. It's an amazing time where we share, we chat with each other, we exchange, we learn.
That's right.
It's fun. Not only we're learning, but I have like the goosebump because since I've started, Exodus Summers is just an amazing community for Black women.
Yes.
It gave me I don't know if it's the permission to be who I am, because
Yes.
to see like-minded people, even if you're not ready to travel, you will learn and you will gain from going to that meetup. I mean,
Yes.
the summit. You will definitely learn from it. You will take something. All the summit where I've been to, I'm still reaping the benefit of having been there. So it's really a place that you want to go. If you are a Black woman, you will find like-minded. You will find a support group that will stay with you until the end, until today. Dee and I, we met at Exodus Summit, and you are the first person that invited me to be live on YouTube. I was afraid of that, and I still thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to you, I'm here house sitting with Mama Stephanie. I call Mama Stephanie.
That's right. That's right.
It's our mother with, Rashida. It's
Mhm.
a great place to be. It's a weekend for you. It's self-care. It's really giving yourself a gift of a lifetime. And
That's
I'm not just saying it because if we are on YouTube today, it's thanks to the summit.
that's
I
right.
did not dare having a channel until I've been to Exodus Summit. And
Mhm.
then, with the accountability group where we are, that's how I started my YouTube channel. you
Yes.
know and to this day, here we are, how many years after, now doing lives on YouTube. And your channel, tell us also about your channel, by the way, and how there's a lot of women from that community that you actually invite on the channel to talk about their experiences abroad.
Yeah. So our intention is to bring forward the married experience.
Yeah.
And on Thursdays, I talk about self-care. One important aspect of that self-care journey for me is to connect in a friendship kind of way with Black women. And so becoming closer to people, you're learning a lot. And so I've invited folks to come to our channel to give that as a part of my growth experience. I
Hmm.
know that when you realize that you don't have to be the expert on everything,
Yeah.
when you realize that there are you you can learn something from everyone's experience as long as you're willing to be open to learning. And so on our channel, we one of the biggest questions that folks have is, where do I go? So, I'm excited, I'm motivated, where do I go? So we have interviewed people from Ethiopia, Tanzania, Rwanda. It'll be
Yes.
coming up, it'll be Kenya, South Africa,
Yeah.
Portugal, Thailand, Mexico, a
Mexico.
lot of
Yeah.
folks from Mexico, because that is
Yes.
somewhere that people. And so when you can show that people are in a variety of areas, they're benefiting, whether they have a lot of money or not, that has held a lot of people back. And people are sharing their stories of, look, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm retired. I'm literally taking my Social Security check and I'm able to stretch it farther. Where people, Adelia Borshade, Picky Girls Travel the
Okay.
World,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
on our channel because after her CNBC Making It video where she talked about budget, and that she doesn't necessarily live on a budget, she just prioritizes the things that need to be paid, and then there are things that she does with the rest. We're offering strategies and people who either teach this, but definitely are doing it. They are living it.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you've seen me talk about us paying off six-figure student loan debt,
Mhm.
and how we did that in 13 months. If you're wanting to kind of see up close, how are people doing what they're doing, and then having a live community where you can get your questions answered in
Yeah.
real time. That is, I think, what we are trying to offer, in addition to the community aspect as well. And however you might relate as a parent, parenting your adult, your adult parent,
Yeah.
or transitioning your role from being father, mother, to kind of coming alongside your adult children as you are making transitions or different career decisions
Yeah.
in your life. That is what I think our channel offers.
Exactly. And you also have, I think, your husband does. I don't know if it's a Monday,
That's
Men
right.
Monday.
Man Monday is
I
on
love
Monday.
it because I send it
Yeah.
always to my husband. And what I love also is the vulnerability. You are very honest in your channel. You relate when you see somebody telling the truth and talking from the heart. And that's what I love with both of you. So, guys, I invite you to go check HND abroad. You will really love the channel. You will learn a lot and you will gain there a community of like-minded people. And Dee, who is going to be one of the speakers of Exodus Summit, coming soon. What are the dates? I will
Yeah,
share.
so it is October 10 through 13. Let me make sure I'm saying that correct. 11, I'm sorry, 11 to 13.
11
So,
to 13. Yeah.
yes,
And so you will be talking about healthcare abroad, as you just
I
said.
will be talking about healthcare. Yeah.
Excellent. Guys, we're going to share all of that into the description. I will also share these details. So, if you need a consultation for house sitting, and as you say, not everyone has all the answers. I didn't know how to explain house sit. People ask me. So I said, let me bring the expert to explain that to you. So thank you very much for, all you're giving us today. And guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Is there anything at all that you want to add?
When you're looking at house sitting, it is a vehicle. It is a vehicle to be able to to provide a quality service and receive a quality experience. And a lot of people are afraid to try.
Right.
You may not get accepted on your first, but I would anticipate, especially this time of year when a lot of house sits are becoming available, try to focus during when there are going to be a cluster of holidays. So the summertime is very popular. If you're new to house sitting, you're more likely to get a yes during that time. Between here in the US, it's Thanksgiving, but between Thanksgiving and the Martin Luther King holiday, a lot of people are taking advantage of the vacation time because of the national holidays and when people are traveling. And so if you're thinking about getting started, now is the perfect time. What you definitely want to do is go to the Trusted House Sitter page and find and just take a look around. As a matter of fact, you don't even have to be a paid member to take a look. But what
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to tell you, what you're going to
Yeah.
do is see that there are some amazing house sits in places where you've always wanted to be. And
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you have completed your profile before um, before you really want to get active, because it does take a few days. So just get ready. I would get ready now, and start looking, start getting familiar with the descriptions and the responsibilities, um, and um, take that as your first step, even as you're looking around. The cost of the Trusted House Sitters membership, even the basic one, is probably the cost of one night at a hotel. So
Yeah,
you're going to make the money back
in no
for
time.
house sit.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I don't regret it. I mean, 3 weeks in a place like that,
I know.
please, the membership is nothing. I've covered it a long time ago. So,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
Thank you, Jace. Thank
Thank
you so much for
you.
having me on. And it was a pleasure to meet
Pleasure.
your audience. And um, hopefully we can continue to collaborate in the future and
Yes.
meet up in the future.
Yes, I so hope that we'll meet, soon. I'm sure with the Exodus Summit meetup, we'll certainly meet somewhere. And I'm coming to America next year. So who knows? If you are still in America, so I may be able to come and meet you somewhere. And
Absolutely.
thanks ever so much for being here. It was such a pleasure. And thank you for your time. Until next time. So I'm going to say goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, friends. Bye.